Welcome to the South Australian Softball Factory. It's the state's two most dominant teams in the minor rounds going head-to-head in the semi-final, and on offer is a golden ticket to the grand final. It's Sturt versus West Torrens, a juicy matchup. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Softball South Australia on beautiful Ghana land. My name is Eric Balnar. I'm joined by Peter Williams and James Harris, bringing you this tantalizing matchup between the first place and the second place teams in the minor rounds. Like I said, golden ticket on offer to the grand final. Peter, I'm really excited for this game, and it feels like West Torrens, it kind of feels like their season is almost starting now in a funny way.
Yeah, they've had a fantastic year this year, obviously finishing minor premiers. They've done not a lot wrong through the season, but now it all starts here. You know, they win this, they get to the big dance. They had that really good run quite a few years ago. They have been very vacant from the grand final, though, since 2009, 2010 in terms of winning a premiership. So they really want to get there into the grand final and going as best they can. I think the ticket here in this game for them is going to be Lana Kaysler. Bats .396 for the year, up against Sturt, though, steps up to .545, and she's had nearly 30% of her hits for the year against Sturt. So she's quite a strong performer with the bat, and obviously on the pitching plate, you've got Steph who's pitching. You'll have Steph potentially coming in pitching phenomenally through the back end of the game, I'd imagine.
For as long as we've been broadcasting these games, the West Torrens Eagles have featured in the 1-2 game. They've been around the mark, banging on the door of a championship in the CMAX Premier League, but they haven't knocked it down quite yet. And standing in their way is a team that's won plenty of championships in that time, and they're looking to do the same again. It's the Sturt Falcons.
Yeah, 6 of the last 10 premierships to the Sturt Falcons, and you know, that is because of the top half of their order, isn't it? It's Sarah Tonkin up the top. It's Maddie Cameron, their cleanup hitter, but the Olympian Belle White, just so impressive. The leading batter in the competition in the CMAX Premier League for the entire season. But, you know, looks at a couple of the younger players in Neve Adams. She's evolved her game since national championships earlier in this year. Undefeated in 2023, Eric. You mentioned that before the game. 11 wins and 1 draw. So they've been tough to beat. West Torrens have 2 wins against them for the season, but that was in the first half of the season and against Chantel Ladner.
Harper Bridley in the circle delivers the first pitch to Sarah Tonkin, and we're underway in a game that really does feel like the best regular season team of the last 6-7 seasons versus the best playoff team of the last 6-7 seasons. The proof is in the championships, and Sarah Tonkin, one of the best and most powerful leadoff hitters of the game, will start things off for Sturt. But the big story in this one is Harper Bridley, a youngster, one of the state's most promising stars, is in the circle, and right now she's working on the 2-0 count as Tonkin takes another pitch.
Out of Port Pirie, made the commitment to West Torrens after winning the Rookie of the Year last year, and you know, a handful of games at Seacombe in that year prior. So it's her 3rd year in the Premier League. If you count the handful of games she played for Seacombe.
A 3-0 count coming in to Sarah Tonkin, and she just keeps that bat on the shoulder and takes. Sarah Tonkin, one of the top leadoff hitters in the game. Actually, take away leadoff, just one of the top hitters in the game.
Harper Bridley here also noting 10 of her 31 strikeouts this year.
Grounded over to third, and a nice play as Kelsey Nucky makes the play. That's 1 down.
Just having some graphic issues, so we'll get the score bug up, no worries about that. But Sarah Tonkin didn't get all of it. Sophie Hoyle got a kind bounce and was able to throw one over to Nucky for the first out. Nerves will start to settle a little bit here for West Torrens before the big hitting 3-hitter Belle White on deck. 1 out now on the board as Neve Adams steps up. Now mention how she was evolving her game. Didn't get a chance to tell you why. She's been throwing down a few running bunts since national championships, so she's using her speed, but that's also freeing her up a little bit later on in the game to throw her hands at the ball and drive onto the fence.
Bridley dealing on the 1-0 count, and this is jammed a little bit. Jordy Harris over at second makes the play, and with that, let's go around the diamond thanks to MC Sportswear. Sophie Hoyle over at third base. That dynamic combination in the middle of not just friends but great teammates in Lana Kaesler and Jordy Harris at short and second. Kelsey Nucky as sure-handed as anybody at first. Amber Hood is the catcher. Left to right in the outfield, Brody Borovnik, Steph Trzynski, and Jackie Beal rounded out for the Eagles. Belle White, well, she's been the marquee player in South Australian softball over the last probably decade, to be honest, and she's had another huge season this year.
Yeah, leading the CMAX Premier League in batting average. Now, I'm on Belinda White watch today because of all the hits she's got this season. She's only got one against West Torrens, so big players step up in big games. We know that from Belinda White, especially from the last couple of Gillies Shield National Championships where she's been almost unstoppable. But she'll step up for the Falcons today, no doubt.
White cracks one towards center field. Steph Trzynski ranging back. It will be playable. And Harper Bridley, in her first start in this, well, game of this kind of magnitude in the CMAX Premier League, has got off to a really nice 1-2-3 start, mitigating the combination of Tonkin, Adams, and White.
Yeah, great defensive innings. She got her Port Pirie, well, not countrymen, what do you call it, from the same town folk, the Port Pirie matchup that I'm sure all the members out at Port Pirie will be watching today. Neve Adams at 2, but the big scalp she got in that innings was Belinda White. It was a good fly, deep fly ball for White, but she just didn't get all of it.
Here's how West Torrens will bat. Jordan Harris will lead things off. The two-time reigning Kath Coral medalist Steph Trzynski batting 2. Amber Hood at 3. Lana Kaesler at 4. Sophie Hoyle at 5. Carly Allen at 6. And then Brody Borovnik, 7. Kelsey Nucky, 8. And Jackie Beal at 9. And Peter, when you're looking at this lineup, just to kind of emphasize how strong it is, their 9-hitter is hitting over 350 in Jackie Beal. This West Torrens lineup is just relentless. There's really no holes.
There's absolutely no holes, as you said. You know, you lead off with Jordan Harris, who is ultra reliable getting on base, and then's got wicked speed getting around. You bring in Steph Trzynski behind her. It was only a few weeks ago we saw one put out into the dog park for a grand slam. Amber Hood, she's again a very reliable and with a lot of speed as well. Lana Kaesler, as I said, goes up to 545 against Sturt. Sophie Hoyle, Carly Allen's up in some of the top batters. Brody Borovnik's up in the top batters. Kelsey Nucky's been really good of late as well in getting on base. And Jackie Beal, as you said, batting over 350 for the year.
In the circle is young Ruby Fidge, an under-18s pitcher that has really flourished as the #1 for the Falcons this season. And this, just like Harper Bridley, it's her first taste of starting a finals game at this level versus this caliber of competition.
I'd say she'd be settled a little bit. She would have pitched under 18s this morning, so a nice little warm-up into this game.
She has to face Jordan Harris first. Here's the pitch. No scores on the board yet. That one down in the dirt for ball 1 here in the bottom of the first inning.
You see Sturt almost shifting their outfield a little to the right side. So that might be an indication that they might be pitching outside a lot more today, or at least to Harris and Steph. Collett is more center left rather than left field.
2 balls in the dirt to start the at-bat versus Jordan Harris. She's been a welcome return to this Eagles lineup. Missed last season because, well, for pretty good reason, James Harris, you would say?
Yeah, Maeve turned 1.
You might be biased, though.
Maeve turned 1 earlier this month.
3-0 count. Harris just adds a lot to the team. That might be the difference in the finals. She adds power, she adds speed, she adds leadership. And certainly a tough out to start the game. 3-1 count. Can she be the first base runner? Doesn't have to do much. It's a walk in 5 pitches, and the speedy Jordan Harris is aboard.
Yeah, she's very quick when she gets up there, so I'd imagine they will be looking. She's had 9 stolen bases for the year, which is the leader out of all of West Torrens. So they'll look to push her around here for sure, and they've got a really strong lineup coming in behind her to get her home if they can.
No outs, runner on here in the bottom of the first inning. Steph Trzynski steps into the plate. She lays down the bunt. Harris at second easily. Fidge across to first, and there's just some good team softball advancing a runner into scoring position.
Yeah, that's a really well-placed bunt from Steph Trzynski, allowing Harris to get into scoring position for hitters 3 and 4 coming up in the lineup. So sacrifice bunt. Steph Trzynski done her job contributing in the field already, so you just can't keep her out of the game.
Amber Hood, Lana Kaesler are the next 2 women who will step to the plate and both have some serious pop. Amber Hood batting in the 3-hole as she takes a first pitch strike. Was the leadoff batter last year, and that was the question, is how would West Torrens this season go about it, knowing that you have 2, maybe even 3 leadoff batters, to be honest, in this lineup. But Hood certainly right at home batting in the 3-hole.
Absolutely, she is. She's sitting down around 389, but as soon as there's a runner on base in scoring position, she's up over 500. So I'd expect this to be some sort of reasonable hit and potentially could get Jordan Hunt.
The speed of Harris at second, always threatening that a base hit is at least going to be a play at the plate.
Yeah, we said it a couple of weeks ago, I reckon. Although Jordan Harris leads the team in batting averages, Amber leads the team in on-base average.
The 2-1 pitch to Amber Hood. She grounds it over towards short, scooped up by White across the diamond, called out. Mel McGee appealing for that to be called safe, but a big smile on her face. Just a nice quick release from Belinda White.
Yeah, it looked like it was in the hole there, but Belinda White had made a step towards second base before she had to change directions and fires it across to Tash Strapp. She's a key in defense as well, Tash Straps, because you know that Belinda White's got a cannon of an arm, but she's got a sure glove, leading the infield with fielding average. Tash Straps for the Falcons.
Lana Kaesler with a runner in scoring position, and she is no stranger to the big game. She's been one of the best players in the competition for a long while, but her recovery from a slow start this season has been truly remarkable.
Yeah, 0 from 10 at her first 10 turns at bat.
For the season, yeah.
And then all of a sudden has just come flying back at the back end of the season to get a percentage up. And as I said, the percentage for her when she steps up against Sturt's up at 545 as her average. So she's been pretty good against this team.
The 1-1 count. Pitch just outside brings the count to 2-1. There are 2 outs and there is a runner on second base in Lana Kaesler.
All the impressive CMAX Premier League statistics coming from the best in the business. Lindy Radigan and Meredith Goodman colouring the circles for us today.
Kaesler, a hot shot, and it rifles off Adams. Harris rounding third. She'll score easily. Kaesler stands on second, and the rocket from Lana has put the Eagles in front.
She hammered that, didn't she? And Neve Adams couldn't really move her glove quick enough. I think it's just gone straight at her. And, you know, if it goes one side or the other, you can throw your glove up at it and have a stab at it. But, you know, that just handcuffed her, didn't it?
Yeah, that looked like it was going really dead on her sort of left hip, and just last second turn a bit more straighter at her, and she had to move the glove, and at that speed it just wasn't possible.
It would have been a fraction of a second reaction time. Had she made the play, that would have been an unbelievable catch. But perhaps we'll see what it's officially scored as. I have a double off the third baseman. Sophie Hoyle steps up to bat.
It's gone down as an error in the official scorebook there, so.
Kaesler, though, with the rocket off the bat, has put them in front. So here's Hoyle. Hoyle takes the pitch.
All right, being updated. It was an error off the fielder's glove. It went straight to her. But also, there is a score bug on.
We just
can't see it. So we'll let you guys call the action from home.
I don't need to update the... the 2 balls and a strike. Hoyle stands in there. Another runner in scoring position, and she will walk. So West Torrens, they know that this game is super important. So do Sturt. The loser has to play in an elimination preliminary final on Wednesday night. Winner goes straight to the grand final on Saturday.
Eric, I just want to ask, Pete, you said before the game it's going to take 5 or 6 runs to beat West Torrens in this game.
Looking at if you look at their scoring for the year, I mean, on average, West Torrens give up about 1 run a game, but they also have got about 125 runs for the season from 20-odd games. So I think they've got about 125 from 24 games, whereas they've only given up maybe 28 runs. So looking at that, they're only giving a run up a game, but they're getting 5 themselves. You're going to have to get 5 or 6, and they've already got their first one in here. So they're off to a good start, West Torrens.
Carly Allen, she's been on every version of those Eagles teams that's been knocking on the door the last number of seasons. They've lost a few grand finals in heartbreaking fashion. Allen up the middle, White scoops and steps, retires this side, but 1 run across the board thanks to a hot shot from Lana Kaesler, and the Eagles are in front early.
Yeah, Belinda White read that one pretty well up the middle. Didn't look like Allen got all of it, or she didn't swing through it at least, just trying to place the ball up the middle. And not a bad idea when you get a couple of runners on base, but however, she reads the play so well, Belinda White, and forces out one of the lead runners for the 3rd out. And look, I just want to take the opportunity to thank Spacequake Sports, CMAX Clinical Research, MC Sportswear, and all our broadcast partners for such a terrific coverage that we've had this year. If you want to see print coverage, you don't have to look any further than Robert Laidlaw's articles in the Saturday Advertiser, and also his online Facebook page, which is Play Ball, all things baseball and softball. He's such a terrific supporter of softball in the state and has been for a decade or probably a little bit more.
Maddie Cameron, Tash Straps, and Riley Moore due up. Sturt were in the finals last year too. They went out in the straight sets. Cameron, Straps, and Moore, and Maddie Cameron started to play softball a bit more consistently as the season's gone on, and again, one of the most powerful bats, and you see it there. It's the first base hit on a hard hit ball that just rolls all the way to center field, scooped up by Trzynski. Doesn't take long for Cameron to get on base.
You cannot slot the first pitch to Maddie Cameron. She's always looking to go, and there on that occasion, she just peels a single up the middle.
Tash Straps. Showing bunt, and it's scooped up by Amber Hood, but it's in foul territory.
We had a reduced preview of the game. I had to leave Tash Straps out because we were short on time. I was going to say that she's probably in the mix, well, she's batting 5. She's in the top 5 hitters of the team. Just a quiet achiever, goes about her work, no fuss, but she always pops up. She's so reliable.
Runner is going. Cameron slides under. Ball pops out of the glove of Lana Kaesler. Bunt not required anymore because Maddie Cameron has taken second base herself.
Really good piece of aggressive running there. Maddie Cameron obviously now gets herself around into scoring position. You've got Tash Straps in the box batting over 300 with the runner in scoring position, so this gives them a really good chance.
Straps takes a strike. Boy, you can really feel the intensity of a finals game, even compared to when these teams met just not that long ago in the final game of the minor rounds. A totally different atmosphere around this one. And why wouldn't there be? There's a spot in the grand final on the line.
Yeah, it's the biggest game of the season to this point. Obviously, Wednesday night's then going to be the biggest, and next Saturday, of course, the ultimate. But you can feel it, the finals atmosphere, it's electric.
Popped into foul territory. And you can feel that atmosphere too, just because the talk around the diamonds here, you talk to some supporters, from fans from both of the clubs. Nobody wants to play the defending champion Port Adelaide on Wednesday night. I'm sure Port Adelaide don't want to play any of these teams either, but they're going to be in that game, and they know that. Straps a plucky at bat here, fouling it away, a lengthy one.
She's really getting after it. She's hanging around in there, making every opportunity. If they're in the sort of zone, she's going after him. I think if she gets one just about right here, she could get onto it.
This is what Tash Straps does, though. She just battles. pitch on the inside. Well, how much do you work a young pitcher like Harper Bridley? Tash Straps has been in this scenario before, being a young pitcher, pitching in a big game.
Yeah, you got to make her throw a lot of pitches.
Grounded over towards third. Picked up by Hoyle, but she just double clutches. I don't know if she didn't have proper grip on the ball and she just pulled it back.
Yeah, the ball was chopped into the ground and maybe changed her mind, thinking that Cameron will be off the base, but the play was still at first because Tap Straps didn't beat one out, but she was able to make it there in time. Here's Riley Moore, DP.
Riley Moore's been a handy acquisition, for lack of a better word, I suppose, in the sports terminology, into this Falcons lineup this season.
Well, the 6-7 hitters have both come from Walkerville last season. Riley Moore and Steph Collett are handy because
grounded up the middle again, but nobody is there, and Maddie Cameron is flying around the bases, and she steps in safe at home. Cameron with the charge of determination touches home, and this game is level.
Well, we thought it was going to be the top four batters that do the damage for the Falcons, but in this second inning, we see Cameron with a single. Tash Straps has got on board as well. None out. Riley Moore comes up, smashes one up the middle, and RBI single to tie the game.
Well, it's two straight sort of harmless looking balls that were put into play, right? A soft contact that found a gap there from Moore, but Tash Straps grounded just to the third base side, a ball that was fielded in the infield.
Yeah, Lana Kaiser looked like she was heading towards third for some reason before the ball even got past her, so maybe she didn't get a read on the ball off the bat. Here's Steph Trzynski. Pete, there's a very interesting stat about Steph Trzynski, isn't there, for,
Steph Collett.
Yeah, she's played 3 games, had 7 plate appearances against West Torrens this year, and she's batting at .571. So she's had, out of that, she's had 4 hits from her 7 at-bats. So she's doing quite nicely against them, and probably not the person you want coming up with those numbers, if you're a West Torrens person, that is.
So Collett stands in, and this grounded up the middle again, and it doinks off the glove. They get 1 at 2. An awkward-looking play. They do retire the runner going from first to second. It'll be a 1-3 split.
1-3 split with 1 out. Even that play looked a little awkward from the West Torrens infield. This inning, they just don't look on, do they? It's they just need to sharpen it up a little bit more, back their pitcher. Harper did well to get a glove to it anyway, but knock it down a little bit. But runners at 1-3 for the Falcons.
Ruby Fidge takes a pitch down low and inside for a ball. Big opportunity for a couple players at the bottom of the lineup in Fidge and Tonkin to provide a go-ahead knock. Fidge again on the dirt. Holding the runner was Harper, and it will be Collett advancing to 2 down now, but 2 runners in scoring position.
Yeah, Tash Straps over at third really was in 2 minds. Do I go on the high chopper? But Harper had a check first before she threw it over to Nucky at first base, and that's the second out for the 9-hitter.
Rachel Tonkin
was the difference on Saturday when these 2 teams last met just 7 days ago in a 1-0 game. Rachel Tonkin hit a single out to left field, just a slight bobble, went through the legs of the outfielder, and she scored. That was the score of the game, 1-0.
Tonkin to right field. She's cashed in 1. Collett gets held up at third, and Rachel Tonkin has now put the Falcons in front.
That was a nice hit there. She got down and low on the ball. She punched it out hard. Made sure she didn't get enough on it to carry to the outfielder, and she's absolutely smashed it and got the runners around where they needed.
Couple of decisions made in this inning from West Torrens are going to come back to haunt them. One of them being when Sophie Hoyle fielded that ball off the Tash Straps chopper and didn't make a play at first. Instead, just wanted to hold Maddie Cameron at second. Both those runners have now scored. We're back to the top.
Well, Harper Bridley retired Tonkin Adams in white 1, 2, 3 to start this game. She certainly needs to get Tonkin out for a second time, but it's hard to retire them back-to-back, these caliber of hitters. Does have 2 outs on the board.
That's a nice pitch on the outside edge. Stay there, and you're not going to get hurt too often.
Interesting with Sarah as well, batting 600 with runners in scoring position and 11 runs batted in for the season.
Brody Brovnik, left fielder, close to the line.
No, it's rare you hear numbers like that, Pete, that you're more likely to get a hit than not in any situation in this game, let alone with runners in scoring position.
Batting average goes up nearly 200 just as soon as there's a runner in scoring position, which obviously is the lead-off is an aim when they're coming around again.
Skied under it. This one back and will fall into the grandstands, a little behind the field of play. So Tonkin will reset. Her sister Rachel just put the Falcons in front.
2 out, 2-2 count. I wouldn't mind betting that the runner might go here.
Fouled back once again. Tonkin has been so reliable in a few different positions over the years for the Falcons.
And I know there's 2 outs here, but they've got to make the most of this. As you said, they're going to need 5 or 6 runs. They can't be leaving too many on base, especially on third.
Ball slips out. Now 2 young pitchers of the game going head-to-head tonight. They're going to be tested, as you are, in various moments in final softballs. So this is a learning moment and a testing moment for Harper Bridley right now. They do have Steph Trzynski in the bullpen, not warming up just yet because she's out in center field.
Yeah. Well, Pete, you asked before the game, how long do they wait before they bring in Trzynski?
It's a tough one. You don't want to make her let Sturt have a too big a lead that you got to peg back. I mean,
swing and a miss. That's a big-time strikeout from Harper Bridley, going upstairs to get Tonkin to swing through.
Not a bad strikeout to get for your first strikeout of the game. Sarah Tonkin won, hitting 600 with runners in scoring position and one of the stars of the competition. But the big announcement of the day, there's 3 Kath Coral medalists playing today. Steph Trzynski's won 2, Belle White's won a couple, Lana Kaiser's won 1 as well. But the lady herself is in the house. Kath Coral is sitting about 15 metres to our left watching. Softball SA Life member, author of the Diamond Jewels book, and also a patron of Softball SA probably for the last 25, 30 years, maybe even more. The lady who the A-grade MVP award is named after is here, and it was terrific to catch up with her before the game, and she's very excited to be here to watch it live.
Yeah, she walked past me earlier. She touched my shoulder as she walked by, and I
got a hug.
Oh my goodness. Can't shower for at least a year. Or at least not wash this shirt.
Yeah.
Brody
It's been a while, though. Since COVID, we haven't seen her, but she always comes to the awards night. So
it's great to see her around the community and around the diamond. She's got a good setup.
Oh, yeah.
Down there.
They rolled out the red carpet for her today, that's for sure. Bar 66 in the Red Star Cafe.
Brody Borovnik leads things off. It's Borovnik, Nucky, and Beal due up for the Eagles in this bottom of the second, who are now chasing a run. Ruby Fidge still in the circle for the Falcons.
I like Brody. She's a big finals player. She always turns up on the big games, and it's also unsuspecting from opposition teams because she bats 7, 8 in the order, and she actually had a pretty good season. She was up and around the 400 mark around about the Christmas break. I don't know what it's at the moment. I don't have the stats on me, Pete.
She's just dropped a little bit. She's just down to 317 at the moment. So she's not doing too bad, as you said, for where she is in the lineup. She does tend to perform a little bit better with runners on base, but
Grounded over to third, played by Adams, but called foul, and that was a nice looking play from Neve at third as well.
We've seen a lot of the CMAX Premier League infielders charging the ball of late, and that's because the read that they're getting off the diamond. Today there's plenty of moisture in it, but they just don't want to take that chance with the second bounce because you don't know if it's going to bounce up and get you in the chest or not bounce at all and go under the glove.
We saw a couple the other night with Taylor at shortstop where she attacked it, but it just got a second bounce in front of her, and just that was the little kick that was a little bit unfavourable for her. So you're right, if you can get it off of the bounce and spend as least time on the ground as possible, the better.
Borovnik off to the right side, but Tonkin scoops and flips over to first base, one down.
That was a pretty stock standard turnip bat there when she got the bat on ball. It was a nice hit. She hit it well. She hit it flat. Just picked out the fielder at second and was the easy out over to first.
Kelsey Nucky. Batting in the 8-hole, and Nucky, a staple of this West Torrens side. Chasing that elusive premiership. Under it a little bit, but moving back is Call It in left field, makes the play. Well, Ruby Fidge walked the first runner in Jordan Harris, and she later scored, but since then she's looked really, really calm in that circle.
Yeah, it's very impressive from the youngster.
Jackie Beal up to bat. Is she one of the leading, if not the leading, 9 batters in the competition?
I'd imagine so. She's batting fourth in order for West Torrens anyway at 357, so wouldn't be too many better than that.
A different look on the different side of the plate.
Yeah, I remember in recent seasons, Scotty trialled her up the order a little bit, but always seems more comfortable in the 9 spot.
Lays down the running bunt, hustling down the line. It had to be a bang-bang play, and it was. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Ruby Fidge and the Sturt Falcons.
They'll be happy with that. They'll be very happy to get that away, to hold them still at the 1 run, and only not get them back to the top of their lineup like Sturt managed to do. So they'll be pushing on forward from the next innings again.
One of the key things you look for in these games are, can they get the leadoff runner on? Played 2 innings. There's been 4 half innings so far. Leadoff runner has scored every time they've got aboard so far.
Yeah, both teams with the 1-2-3 innings. West Torrens dismissed the Sturt team 1-2-3 in the first, and top of the first, and then in the bottom of the second it was the Falcons' turn. That bunt wasn't too bad from Jackie Beal. Looked like it was pretty well placed. There were 3 players coming in to come and get it, but Sarah Tonkin, quick like a cat, out of that catcher's box and fires it across to Straps for the 3rd out there. You can see that defense is going to play a massive part of this game, and you know, perhaps we're waiting for it to break open a little bit. 3 runs already scored.
Yeah, we've seen finals games in the past be traditionally low scoring. It was like that on Wednesday night too, right?
Yeah, 2-0 game, and the 2 runs come from RBI doubles. 1 to Grauer and 1 to Letton.
Neve Adams leading things off for Sturt. First pitch swing, fouled away off the meshing behind the plate.
Yeah, coming into this game, I thought there'd be a fair bit of hits. Both teams quite powerful, can hit a very long ball out and have a lot of speed to get around. So if the pitches weren't quite on, then it was going to be definitely a batting display, and 3 runs in the first couple of innings. Not a surprise to me yet.
Pitch on the outside from Harper Bridley. Trying to bounce back after allowing 2 in the second. Check swing. Didn't go. Bridley versus Fidge, such an intriguing pitching matchup in this game, both under 18s. But both players have been part of clubs that have really started to develop some strong junior players coming through the ranks. Before Harper Ridley, of course, players like Maddie Scott, who's now off at college, and Sturt now has a long list of them that have come through, played well in the CMAX Premier League, and then moved on to some big things in the States.
9 girls over in the States, and then a couple going over this off-season, and a few heading over to Europe as well. So plenty of South Australians abroad in this off-season.
I think the next level coming through as well is in South Australia is quite phenomenal. Some of the under 18s that are playing, and as you said, a couple of young ones out there now. Those that are going to get a go once they've finished their high schooling here and what the college can give them overseas, is we're going to see a lot more go.
Plucky at bat here from Neve Adams. Swing and a miss. Ridley strikes out Adams. It's her second of the day and second in a row dating back to the second inning.
That was good. Neve really stuck around in there. She made her work for it, and she got her in the end. So
beat her for pace.
Belinda White flew out to the second basewoman in her first at bat. And now it's a hard hit ball right up the middle. Just stays with it and gets aboard. Belle White on first.
A bit Maddie Cameron style there. Just comes in, first pitch hits.
Yeah, I know pitchers like to get on top early in counts, so you just can't groove it against quality players like White and Cameron. They'll make you pay.
So Maddie Cameron, you'd think, would be sitting on the same thing.
Absolutely. Watch for Belle White, an aggressive base runner. She'll take on the arm of an outfielder. She reads the play well, so if the play's at 1, maybe an infield grounder, she'll probably try and take an extra base as well. She's very smart.
Rolled over to short. Kaesler plays over to 1. White stands in at 2. 2 down.
Yeah, it's probably the right play in the end. As I was saying, Belle White was quick off the mark. She read the play well. She got into 2, quick, smart. Lana Kaesler, again, looked like she was going the wrong direction before she corrected herself and had time to fire it across to Nucky for the second out.
Straps fouls one away. Straps singled and scored on that little ground ball over to third in the first inning.
That's the 4th hit against Bridley to go with 2 strikeouts.
Pitch just rides a little bit high and outside.
Yeah, Bridley's not doing a lot wrong. I mean, you know, a few hits, but at the end of the day, you expect that from Sturt. They're a hitting team, so she's got to trust her defense and trust her that she can keep going as long as deep as she can into this match.
Straps off of Bridley's glove, and Lana Kaesler across the diamond. A nice pick from Kelsey Nucky. And getting out of the inning, West Torrens scar-free. Keeps it a 2-1 game.
Yeah, great pick up from Kelsey Nucky to complete that play. Good play from Lana Kaesler as well. She had to dart across to the middle of the diamond. She stayed low, which is the key. If she came up to stand up to throw, probably wouldn't have been in time, but third out was made, and they managed to fend off the threat from the Falcons here in the third. They still hold a 2-1 lead. Hey, after this game, if you still haven't had enough of softball, live softball action, all right, stay tuned on Spacequake Sports, because it is the Waverley Open 1 women's final. Northwood Falcons versus Lily Day EJ. It starts at Victorian time, 4 p.m. So straight after this game, you want to watch some more softball action on Spacequake Sports, tune in to that broadcast.
And if you watch the coverage of the Gillies Shield that Spacequake Sports did back in January, a lot of those Victorian players on those state teams are from those two clubs and in that association. So you might see some familiar names. And final softball, always exciting. There's always such fine margins. It would be worth tuning into. Jordan Harris walked and scored the only run for West Torrens. Back in the first inning, she leads things off here in the top of the third. Harris has had some good experience across the board, and this kind of buckles Rachel Tonkin a little bit over at second base. It finds the way between her, and now we have a runner aboard.
That was a good hit, that. Just had to get the hand over the backhand side to be able to field it there, Rachel, and just fumbled her way through the legs, unfortunately, and with the speed of Jordan, she was never going to get the playing time.
It's a costly person to make a mistake against, Jordan Harris.
Yeah, you don't have to give her a second chance.
And she gets a good jump on a slow roller to second. It's as good as a bunt, which is what Steph Jasinski did in her first at-bat. She advances the runner to 2, and now with 1 out, just like in the first inning, Hood and Kaisler can have a crack at bringing Harris home.
Yeah, effectively the same job was done, wasn't it? The runner was able to advance.
Amber Hood.
I can see Port Adelaide's head coach Ben Lucas front row of the grandstand, keeping an eye on who his opponent is going to be on Wednesday night.
Port Adelaide back in the preliminary final, a place they were last year. They went one further, and they actually won the grand final in a very close game with West Torrens last year. Hood, nice ball to center field. Nice movement from Maddie Cameron. Grabs the ball over her shoulder. That's a trickier play than what might look on camera.
Yeah, it was a lovely hit, absolutely out the guts of the bat, caught nicely, and as you said, just that little moment of where she was a little bit off balance, but with Maddie Cameron's arm, you're not getting a third on that.
She's hit the ball hard twice in this game, Amber Hood. Had a ground out to Belinda White, had a fly out to Maddie Cameron. She's just picked out the best 2 players in their team.
Kaisler had that hard shot to third. It was scored an error on that rocket shot to third with 2 outs in the first inning. That drove in the only run the Eagles have this game. Kaisler has been electric in the second half of the season. A national champion with the Stars last year, a CAF Coral medalist. She's won it all. Looking for that CMAX Premier League title this season, though. Kaisler up the middle, easily grabbed by Fidge. And boy, Ruby Fidge looks really settled right now. Allowed a first base runner of the game and a score. Breaks the trend of leadoff runner getting on and then scoring and keeping this a 2-1 game.
She was nice and relaxed going out to pitch. I saw her talking to the coaching team just before she got out there, and she was having a good laugh, and she seems really relaxed. And as you said, not for that one error, there may not have even been a run scored for them yet.
When you're a young player, do you get more nervous, less nervous? Or is it just nerves that no matter what level you play when you play in these kind of games?
That's a good question, isn't it? Because I'm not a young player. I'm going to say that anyone who's made it to the Premier League has been a really good player in their junior career.
Yeah.
And, you don't get here by accident. So for Ruby Fidge to be a starting player for a team that's won 6 premierships in the last decade, she's earned a spot here. And so, yeah, I think she's going to be okay. She's been in some Aussie squads. She's been a state representative. She played under 23s this year. I mean, that competition would probably be at the same level as what we're playing here in the CMAX Premier League.
I like to ask that question to people that are involved, whether it be in ice hockey, the ABL, softball, baseball, whatever level that may be. And one of the best answers I had for those big games is, he said, everybody feels in these final games some sort of anxiety. It just depends if that's nerves, if that's excitement. This is Riley Moore grounded over to Bridley. It's a matter of what you do with those emotions. Do you get overexcited? Do you get over nervous? And do you let that control what you should be controlling yourself? Do you embrace those nerves and channel that into something special, or do you let them get the better of you? But nerves can be a good thing too.
Yeah, sounds like a long-winded answer to me. Straight to the point. I'm kidding. No, that's a very good point. Very good point. And Pete, I noticed you remained relatively quiet during that conversation.
Yeah, I think you find they all know it's a final. They know what's on the line, and at the end of the day, there is a bit to lose here. As you said, it's the golden ticket to the grand final, and if you lose it, you have to come up against Port, who played phenomenally the other night. So there's a bit to lose. You got to get into a grand final with confidence if you can, and they would know that in their head, that it's a final. We've got to play hard, we've got to play well, but ultimately, if you think it's just another game, you'll generally play pretty well.
What's so intriguing about this matchup is, yes, you have two under-18 pitchers in Harper Bridley and Ruby Fidge going head-to-head, as Bridley dealing the pitch right now to Steph Collett. Over to Lana Kaesler. Kaesler scoops up and fires. But around the diamond of Harper Bridley is Sophie Hoyle, Lana Kaesler, Jordan Harris, Kelsey Nucky, Amber Hood. If you look at just those 5 players that surround her in the infield, how much experience is there that you can rely on, knowing that you're a team and you can share in that nervous energy?
All have been Stars representatives, some current. You got an Australian cap player in there as well. Amber Hood went to a junior world championship with Australian under-19 team. Heaps of experience there, and yeah, you're right. It probably would be a lot different pitching in the Premier League than what it would have been if she was pitching in the under-18s, for example, where she is the standout player of the team.
Here is Ruby Fidge right now, fouling it away.
And that's the exact same on the flip side for Ruby Fidge. You got an Olympian, you got a junior Aussie Spirit member in Neve Adams, and national champions throughout that lineup as well. Sarah Tonkin behind the plate.
I think what both pitchers would know is that, as you said, with all that experience they've got on their infield, they've got so much experience in and around, and that the defensive strength behind them is there. So they can allow, if they're going to get a hit, it's going to go to a fielder. I've got the backup. And both of them, with Steph Drzezinski and Maddie Cameron as the 2 centre fielders controlling that outfield, you know your outfield is going to be right on your backside as well.
Ruby Fidge versus Harper Bridley. They'll have gone toe-to-toe in juniors before, though, wouldn't they have?
Absolutely. They'd be teammates in the SA team, but they would have faced each other in the under-18s, probably under-16s as well in previous years.
And probably be facing each other for years to come.
I think the last sort of innings and a bit show both pitchers have now really just settled in quite well. You know, it's hard for these batters to get around and get on now, and that might be the way. It was the same the other night we saw in the Port Walkerville game. A couple of runs early, and then it just sort of staled off to the pitchers getting the way of the game. So
a walk, and that with 2 outs will put Rachel Tonkin up to bat, and she delivered a pretty handy hit in the last inning.
Yeah, courtesy runner just quickly for the pitcher. Ruby Fidge comes out. Hannah 2 comes in to run. You're right, Rachel Tonkin, X-factor. She got that hit that won them the game last week. She got the hit that scored an RBI to go ahead in this game.
Rachel Tonkin, another experienced player, probably an underrated player in the competition in terms of where she's batted in the lineup and performed different roles with Sturt's run over the last, well, decade or so. Another junior player that's come through the ranks. Knocks it over to right. That gets through. Nucky, a nice backhanded play from Jordan Harris. She's stuck with it. It'll look pretty on the CMAX replay. But what a play from Jordan Harris on the backhand after that just got through the glove of Nucky.
Yeah, that was hit pretty hard, and the first one went to the right side of the diamond there for her as well from Rachel. So whacked it pretty hard there at Kelsey, took the speed off it, just fumbled through to Jordan Harris, who quickly got the backhand flick across in time to get the out for a 3-4-3 play.
She had time to stop it with her glove, transition, and still on a backhand flip with all the momentum going forward. It was a cool-looking play from Jordy Harris.
Yeah, well done from the West Torrens defence on the spot to back up Nucky, who did enough to slow the ball down and then quickly recover herself to get back on first base, and then Harris with that backhanded flip.
I mean, that play just removes some pressure that would have been induced on this defense. Yes, there would have been 2 outs, but you would have had a runner on first and second, and Sarah Tonkin, who's already 0 for 2 with a runner in scoring position. A play like that can't be understated from just stopping any potential danger from happening for the West Torrens Eagles.
Yeah, it was a nice little flick up there. I suppose the thing with Jordan there was she had to move really quick, which she does anyway, but then she had to get the ball in the glove and out the glove with very little time to spare, and she did it without fault and still kept her momentum in the opposite direction to where she was throwing.
They've been through the lineup twice now. I'm going to say the change will come. I think Steph will start the next inning for West Torrens. Harper Bridley has pitched well, but time will tell. I guess we'll see. Here's Sophie Hoyle, the 5-hitter for West Torrens.
Would Steph be, she's not due up to bat in this inning. She's 7th down the order. She's batting 2 in the lineup, and Sophie Hoyle batting 5 in the lineup, leading things up. Would you be seeing Steph right now warming up if that was the case, or would they try to disguise that as much as possible?
She was warming up before the game. She might need to roll over a little bit to get into a groove. You don't want to come in cold to the top half of the Sturt lineup, that's for sure.
Hoyle. Knocked over to short. Getting down with it is Belinda White, and how quick was that release and throw across the diamond?
Yeah, that's the star power there. You got a Bell White. That was in to the glove, and then an absolute nail of a throw across. That left side of the diamonds there with you got Bell White and Neve Adams. They have just rocket arms that are very difficult. If you get them cleanly and get them out quick enough, it's very hard to get to first.
Carly Allen. Grounded out to the shortstop, Belle White, who's been busy in this game so far. And that was in her first at-bat.
And James, you might be on the ball. I just saw Steph pop out the end of the dugout and go around behind the back. So I'd imagine there's probably a bit of warming up coming up as we speak.
1-1 count. Again, and Adams tried to make a play on that. I don't know if she kind of intercepted what Belle White thought was her ball. I'm not too sure. Maybe you can walk us through that as a player here, James.
If you're playing third base and you can get it, you go for it. And I got no problem with Neve Adams trying to shark that one in front of Belinda White, because she would have had to field one off maybe a second bounce. She would have had to charge it. You never know what's going to happen with that dirt. So you just don't take chances when it's going to be a bang-bang play. Carly Allen was able to make it there without any opposition from a throw. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and I guess Bell might have even had to throw off the back foot, not knowing how that ball would roll. But either way, it's going to go down as an error, and it's going to go down as a base runner. And the luxury of being able to run for Allen as well.
Yeah, so the timeout called was for the substitution. It is a pinch runner coming in for the Eagles, Izzy Benedictson. West Torrens have got 4 on the bench. Alicia Marchink, Danny Baskai, Izzy Benedictson and Jess Ryder.
Pretty good players to have on the bench. They might be starters even on other clubs around the competition.
Yeah, with Alicia's shift work, she'd probably only been able to play half the games this year. So normally a regular starter for this team. And if Harper comes out, I'd say she'd be the one to come in to replace her.
Swing and a miss from Borovnik. A good bounce back at bat from Ruby Fidge.
Her first strikeout of the game.
That's good. We spoke earlier about how Brody's has been performing this year against Sturt, so that was kind of a very key out to get there. We did see Kelsey Nucky the other night. I think it was against Seacombe, the last game, where she put one out to the outfield fence on the bounce. So she has been seeing him and has been hitting him okay of late.
Kelsey Nucky. 5 base runners in the game so far for West Torrens. 2 of them off walks, 3 of them off errors.
Yeah, no hits.
A rarity from this Sturt defense as well to see 3 errors happen in the game so far, but they haven't really been punished for it at all yet.
Yeah, the first one's a bit tough on Neve Adams. I think Lana Kayser's hit went off like a rocket, dead ball off the toe of Nucky. But the other 2, you know,
Tough plays.
You'd hope that they'd make him in a big game, though.
Yeah. Nucky and Beal would follow. Hasn't been more than 2 base runners since the first inning, as we're now into the 4th for Ruby Fidge. She's efficiently worked her way through the lineup to this point. Now Nucky battling away. A couple strikes on her.
We've been talking about the change, the imminent change for West Torrens in the pitching circle. If West Torrens do eventually start to get on top of Ruby Fidge, they've got Jazz Strandlin, Riley Moore in the dugout for Sturt, so they do have options as well.
Nucky to left field, call it moving back, it drops in and rattles against the fence. Benedictson rounding third, there won't be a play at the plate, and a double from Kelsey Nucky has tied the game.
Right on cue, Pete. Kelsey Nucky gets one she wants, drives it deep, goes over the head of Collett. She has in a race to the fence. Benedictson scores all the way from first, and Nucky will stand up at 2 with an RBI for their first hit of the game.
That was an absolutely perfect hit. She really dug in deep on it. She got it out hard, and the wind just took it away to the left, and I think Collett out there just lost it a little bit for a minute, and that's how it got beyond her.
A tenacious at-bat. She stuck with it, fouled a few away. And now we're back where we started, all square.
Benedictson comes in as a pinch runner. Key moment in the game. She's contributed for her side. Sturt defense really shift when Jackie Beal's in the box. You can see Belle White comes to the line. Neve Adams is almost at the end of the bat. And Steph Collett right in as well at left field.
First hit in the scorebook against Ruby Fidge. Knocked over to Fitch. She has to get up and make the play, but she does. But West Torrens have leveled the scores at 2 thanks to a Kelsey Nucky RBI double.
Yeah, that last one, obviously just a little slap down into the ground. It did kick up pretty high, but luckily Ruby's got the height in her to be able to get that nicely across the first. Obviously, it ties the game up after 4 innings, so if the pitching change comes now, it makes it that little bit more difficult for everyone.
Now
Eyes
this
on
is
the
a
centre
7-inning
circle,
game.
and there she is.
Now, this is a 7-inning game. If you've been watching the CMAX Premier League all season, you'll know that these games are 90 minutes or whatever comes first, 7 innings. They're timed games. As soon as final starts, this game could take 7 hours and 63 minutes. If it would be 8 hours and 3 minutes in that case. But you know what I mean. It could take as long as we need to play this game.
Don't give producer Brandon a heart attack. This game is on track to go through 7 innings in about 90. We're about 55 minutes in now, and we've completed 4. Interestingly enough, both teams, not every team, I guess, because both teams have both had 18 plate appearances, both scored 2 runs. And here comes Steph Trzynski. As you said, Eric, the 2-time reigning Cath Coral medalist, Aussie Spirit capped player, played at 2 junior women's worlds. She's played at a senior women's world, a 4-year career at Cal Berkeley. She's played in the Netherlands. She's going over to Italy to play professionally this year. She's an absolute gun.
Well, in the battle, that closes the book on the battle of the 2 under-18 pitchers going against each other. They both lead through 4 in a 2-2 game. Both have scattered a few pieces of contact in the field. Both teams have had a key 2-out hit at some point in the game. Both teams have got a leadoff runner on and brought them around to score. Both teams have made a couple nice defensive plays. Both teams have allowed a couple plays in the field they probably want back. There really hasn't been much to separate them, and that's exactly where we are heading to the final 3. But a nice ace in the sleeve, like you said, James, is Steph Trzynski.
Yeah, and great point, Eric. You wouldn't have wanted anything else as a fan of softball than seeing a tight contest between the top 2 teams in the competition. But here she is. What Sturt need to do is get on top of her early and maybe put some doubt in the mind of the West Torrens players.
Only allowed 2 earned runs all season long.
Yeah, impressive pitching stats, aren't they, Eric? Because you know, you come in and you share the workload pretty evenly with the likes of Harper Bridley, and to only give up 2 runs in the entire season is so impressive. But, you know, she's been doing this year in, year out.
Who are those runs against, though?
Yeah, those interesting facts there.
Tonkin to center field, and just like you called, look who's in center field making the play. Yep.
Yeah, interesting. The 2 runs you mentioned that have come against Steph this year have both been from Sturt. So 100% of her runs have come from the team that she's playing against today.
Neve Adams up to bat. Steph Trzynski just had a phenomenal Gilly Shield as well, James. And what makes her, I mean, literally.
Pitcher of the tournament?
Yeah, if you're going by the national champions, I mean, in Steph Trzynski, she's won the last 2 best and fairest in the competition. She holds that title right now. She also holds the title of the pitching champion, where all the best players in the country go and play a tournament against each other over a week. So what makes Steph Trzynski a candidate for best pitcher in Australia by those standards?
Yeah, the opportunities that she'll get playing for the Aussie Spirit in the coming years will elevate that status a little bit. But, you know, it's always hard to look past the big 5 from New South Wales, but Steph's credentials are right up there, and she should be in that conversation.
Fouled away once again.
I think she showed through the Open that in the Gilly Shield, that she is a phenomenal pitcher who has multiple different talents and different balls that she can play. And I think the speed she can pitch, she has a little change up, she does everything else with the ball. She's got a little bit with the bat as well, so there's probably a little bit on her supporting her in that strength as well.
Certainly a fierce competitor as Neve Adams stands in the batter's box. And she goes upstairs to get Adams to chase for her first strikeout of the day.
And strikeout 101 for the season for Trzynski. You know what it does, though, is that it puts Steph Trzynski in that conversation with the top pitcher in the country, but what it also does is it really makes this Premier League, CMAX Premier League competition, a competition that players want to play in. We've seen Grace Rickson and Chantel Ladner and Cousins, and we also saw Orsini come over the last couple of seasons to play step-toe.
Knocked over to short. Kaesler, a nice play. And you're right, James, and, you know, we had this conversation with a few of the guest commentators we had during the Gilly Shield, Alicia Peters being one of them, saying that a lot of the imports that come over to play in this competition, and they seem to be across the board getting stronger and stronger each non-COVID season, I suppose. They say because these games are broadcast and people can watch them back home, they want to come over and play versus high-caliber competition that can be seen and documented to show to wherever their next opportunity might be.
Yeah, absolutely. And the power of the Spacequake Sports broadcasters has also been able to provide highlight packages for our college players. We saw Denzo Bright Pegasus come and play a series against the Aussie Spirit. We've seen the biggest and best ever coverage of the Gilly Shield of all time earlier this year. The power of this broadcast, it means a lot to the community, but it also means a lot to the players playing in it.
Well, someone that might have some people watching from her home and native land as we have Jazz Strandlands come into the game. And it is literally monkey see, monkey do in terms of, how about this? It was 2-2 after 4. Both teams had identically got through the lineup 2 times. Both teams had scored 2 runs, and both teams after 4 go to the relief pitcher. This is Jazz Strandland's.
Handy relief pitcher, if you ask me, Eric. You probably could have tossed a coin for a start between Fidge and Strandland today. She's been a very impressive B-grade player, waiting in the wings for the likes of Millie Fidge and Zali Adams. Won a B-grade Best and Fairest a few seasons ago as well, but you know, she's just one of those players, an honest player and a great contributor for her club.
I believe originally from Canada?
Yep. Where's that, Eric?
Heard of it.
It's the cap of the USA, right?
Yeah, exactly. Jordan Harris has reached twice. She scored once. It was in the first inning. It was off a walk, and she was later manufactured around the diamond to score that first run.
Moment's got a bit too much for KT on the plate here. Just wipes a little tear from his eye.
Yeah, fake bunt shown by Harris as well. So maybe wanting to see a pitch before she swings at Strandland.
Up the middle, Strandland, a nice job sticking that left mid out there.
Interesting tactical move here. These batters were about to see their 3rd turn at Ruby. And obviously with Steph being the change in there and coming into pitch is a difference for them. But the 3rd time that they were going to be seeing Ruby, and I wonder whether that was sort of a set number they had before the game, was when it gets to this point, we get them off.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, Pete, either 9 or 18. But I'm not surprised to see the double change.
So much on the line. Spot in the grand final. It'll be not exactly this time next week, couple hours later in the evening. Strandland's.
Yeah, you're right, Eric. This is our last day broadcast. Wednesday night, 8 p.m. And then next Saturday, the CMAX Premier League Grand Final. I think the broadcast will start just after 7-ish, but the game will start around about 7:30.
Knocked over to third. What a snag from Adams, and what a throw across the diamond. That was impressive from the youngster at third.
Yes, that's that arm I'm talking about. She has a nail of an arm that just flies across the diamond quickly. She's obviously got those couple of little errors that she's had early in the game out of her head, took that with confidence and just rocketed it over to get the out.
Yeah, no pressure or less pressure on the throw when you don't have time to think about it. The ball sticks, it's you fielded it well, you fire it across, and it all just sort of happens. It's those ones where you've got a little bit of time to think about it that those demons start to raise the volume in the back of your head. But yeah, I was just saying the CMAX Premier League Grand Final will start around about 7:30 next Saturday night. So yeah, last day broadcast. Well, that's if you don't count the NAMSA Grand Final. The Northern Area Men's Softball Association are coming to West Beach to play their Grand Finals Sunday, April 2nd, and that'll be about 2 o'clock start as well.
Pitch on the inside. Grand Final weekend next weekend. It'll be a fun one.
Yeah, Grand Finals all around the state as well. All our associations are most of the associations wrapping up this season today. Gee, what I've noticed from Strandland, the one big difference between her and Fidge is that she really gets under that for the rise ball. You can tell as it comes out of the hand because she really gets under it to try and get that extra spin. There it is there.
Yeah, it's a walk. Base runners, though, have started to come, though, with a couple outs on the board. Lana Kaesler had the RBI back in the first inning.
Nice and relaxed, isn't she, Strandland?
Yeah, she's smiling, laid back, shoulders dropped.
Time out. We've got to catch a speed up for Amber Hood. It's a compulsory change, so just a slight delay in the game with Lana Kaesler in the box. Jordan Harris will be doing the running from 1 with 2 out. Blink and you could miss it here.
How aggressive are you with Jordan Harris at first in terms of a potential steal even as well?
That's exactly what I was meaning when I said blink and you'll miss it, Pete.
I'm sending her. The worst case, you bring Lana back into the box again. That's not a bad place to start if she does manage to get out.
I don't have the stat sheet in front of me, but I'm pretty sure there's a 0 in the category of caught stealing for Jordan Harris this season.
It's just a matter of putting pressure on your opponent. And it's been a defense today that's had 3 errors in the scorebook. So they've been susceptible to, you don't want to call them mistakes because they've been difficult plays to make, but opportunities still are there for the taking.
Interesting, that stat, James.
And there she goes. Grounded over to short, and it gets through 2 players, and now Harris will push for 3. She slides in there safely. So it was Harris pushing for 3rd, and because of that, sneaking in behind at 2nd is Lana Kaesler, and just like that, there are 2 outs and 2 runners in scoring position.
What you'll see on the replay is that Belinda White saw that Harris took off, and so she broke for 2nd, just cheating a little bit. Lana Kaesler pulled the ball to the backhand side of White. She managed to make up the ground, but didn't read the 2nd bounce. Went between her legs. Harris took full toll and an extra base. Now Kaesler's at 2 runners in scoring position.
Wow. So Sophie Hoyle. And she swings a nice bat, Sophie Hoyle. She can drive in runs.
16 runs batted in this season for Sophie Hoyle.
Not a bad throw on that replay from Steph Collett, the CMAX replay. And if you want to help advance tomorrow's healthcare and get paid for your time, log into cmax.com.au.
Games like these are usually decided by who comes up with that decisive 2-out hit. It was 2 out, nobody on, and now it's 2 on and 2 out. Both teams have a 2-out hit already this game, but Hoyle pops it straight up in the air. Tonkin finds it. Danger averted. We're through 5, and we're still tied.
That was a good get out there. The first 2 batters obviously coming up for Strandland that she's had in the box against her. Both got out. She then walks one. She then has an error. The next minute faces 2 runners in scoring position. So good to get out of that and hold that at only the 2 runs.
Well, if Lee was here, he'd make an outlandish comment like it could go into double overtime. Actually, I think he predicted the 2018-19 grand final to go to triple extra innings. It only went to double extra inning, but he wasn't far off the mark, our man.
Well, Lee already knows who won this championship series in the CMAX Premier League. He is, in fact, a time traveler. He just won't spoil it for the rest of us, but he already knows.
And if you know how to read between the lines, we've got a special guest coming to join the commentary Wednesday night during the week, and it'll be great to have him back calling. I'm sure he'll be watching as well. He might even be out at Central Districts watching their grand finals this weekend.
Interesting part of the lineup here with Cameron, Straps, and Moore. If Trzynski can get through cleanly right here in the 6th inning, she might not have to potentially face Tonkin, Adams, White, Cameron again. Meanwhile, with 2 innings to go, you know the lineup's going to be turned over for West Torrens. You know that Jordy Harris is going to get another opportunity in the game. So where the lineups are positioned right now, probably advantage West Torrens, although it's a finite advantage.
Well, Maddie Cameron, we all know her ability, that season that she had over 600 batting average a couple years ago.
Sturt won the premiership that season. They won it 2 years ago, Sturt.
A national champion last year with the Stars. Went to a junior women's worlds with Steph Trzynski, as a matter of fact, and was a bronze medalist that tournament that year for the under-19s. Maddie Cameron won the batting award, Steph won the pitching award.
Interesting also, you'll say these next 4 in the lineup all had a hit their first time at bat. So that'll be in the mind of these guys that they can do it. They've done it already. They've got themselves on base, and they're going to need to do it here, I reckon. They're going to have to try and sneak a run in this innings if they can put the pressure right back on West Torrens.
Ruby Fidge started the game, as did Harper Bridley for West Torrens. So both teams have made a pitching change. Here's Trzynski dealing again. Cameron straight up in the air. Fighting and looking for it is Amber Hood, but she watches that sail over her head, and it's just a 2nd strike. Cameron, Straps, and Moore.
Behind in the count 1-2. Here, Maddie Cameron, she doesn't strike out often. We spoke about that before the game. Only a handful between the top 4 batters. 3 of the top 4 batters.
Up the middle, charging onto it at 2nd is Harris, and another nice flip. Harris has had to be good at 2nd today.
That was another little miss hit that just took the end of the bat, rolled out. Harris flew in from 2nd. just got the flick. She had no time on her hands there. Probably had less times than the one before to get that across, and just got there in the nick of time.
Yeah, just off the end of the bat. She took a little bit off the swing as well, just to protect the zone. Harris charges it down, and Nucky is on the spot.
Everything about Harris is just quick. How's Maeve? Is Maeve speedy around the place too?
Yeah, she is starting to be a handful. Kathy will be no doubt doing laps around the house looking after her this afternoon.
Already, Maeve is at the Kathy Lambert School of Sprinting.
Absolutely.
Good grandma to have. Tash Straps takes a pitch on the outside. Straps rolled over to first, and somehow that stays fair. And you can just see everybody kind of shake their heads saying, as if. That stayed on a line along the chalk and rolled right to first base, where Kelsey Nucky just had to pick it up. She didn't even need to step on the bag.
That was cut, and that was rolling out, and then somehow it's just straightened up.
That reminds me of Belinda White's hit in the Gillies Shield final last year. It was out. Taylor Titsakronis tried to field it before it came back, spun back into the field of play, and an infield single.
The ball of destiny.
Yeah.
Riley Moore.
Just quickly on the Lamberts, Regan Lambert playing in the Riverland Grand Final today. So another one of our associations playing finals today.
Riley Moore knocked over to third, grabbed by Hoyle, and it's another 1-2-3 inning from Steph Trzynski as we head to the bottom of the sixth. And already this game has got to the pointy end. If West Torrens can score a run here in the bottom of the sixth, it'll be Steph Trzynski to come in and try to close this thing out.
Yeah, Alan, Borovnik, Nucky, the first three hitters due up. If they can get one or two of those on, then you're starting to come around to the top of the order again.
And Carly Allen went out last time, and Izzy Benedictson came in for her. And there's been no re-entry, so Izzy is staying in the game.
She's going to get a chance for a Premier League at bat. Might have been few and far between. Pete, if you have a look at the stat sheet for us, how many plate appearances for Izzy this year? Should have a handful, I'd say.
She's had 8 games and 3 plate appearances. She's been home twice across the plate, and she has batted a run in, so she's had a strikeout in amongst all that.
Is that a situational decision, knowing that, Benedictson, she's got some speed about her, knowing that she can put pressure at that leadoff spot? Had she been batting maybe 3 due up and a base runner was on, you might want the power of Allen.
West Torrens are also playing B grade today. I know you probably look after your Premier League team first and foremost, but say Carly will be catching B grade today too.
Benedictson takes a pitch down low.
Yeah, I agree. I think, you're spot on too. The run, if she can get up onto base, she's got speed to get herself around into a really good position with some strength coming up behind her.
She scored the tying run back in the 4th. Using speed, West Torrens scored the first run of the game. They were up 1-0 before the Falcons responded in the second with 2.
Could also be a matchup that West Torrens like as well, because Strandland's played a fair bit of B-grade. Benedictson's played her share of B-grade games as well. State junior representative, Benedictson.
Everybody making moves in this game, not just the players, but the coaches on how they've managed their pitching, how they've managed their substitutions. Alicia Marchink now in center field for West Torrens as well. So there's no shortage of some strategy with these two teams.
That's the clay from the pitching circle that's chopped up by the pitcher's cleats. And thanks to our volunteer grounds crew there, they've really put hard to work, these players.
Olympian grounds crew.
Yeah, really dig up the field.
Tried that up high pitch again, and Benedictson just lays off. swing and a miss. Strandlands wins that battle. 1 down.
Yeah, so the plan probably didn't pay off there for the speed side of things, but, you know, Brovnik's got a good record. Kelsey's hit one out to the fence already today, and Jackie Beale, as we said, is also up there in the record numbers in terms of batting averages this year. So it's not over yet for Sturt. They really need to get their next 2. They'll return back to the top.
Really just a knife edge moment for both of these teams. If you can win the next inning, or this inning in the next 9 outs or so, you're in the grand final next week and you have a fun 7 days ahead of you. If you lose, all of a sudden you're fighting for your life versus the defending champs in prime time on Wednesday night.
Both these teams do have X factors in this team, match winners, and could explode at any moment. It's been a relatively blow for blow encounter, but advantage maybe to Sturt. They've had, what, 5 hits for the game compared to West Torrens 1.
You have to go back before the pandemic, since the last time the loser of this game ended up in the grand final. The last 2 final series, we've seen the number 3 or 4 seed get through. Well taken over at short from White, 2 down.
That's right. Port Adelaide last year, Hills Heat the year before.
COVID the year before that.
COVID the year before that.
Bill White there just making sure that Neve got well and truly out of her way on that one, called really loud and clear quickly, and Neve ducked in to get away.
Nucky up to bat, but it's not uncommon. We've seen Walkerville Cats, that happened to them right before they won back-to-back. They went out famously
Chelsea
in straight
Cohen
sets.
Was famously or infamously,
not
I don't want to say deported, but she took a trip to Bali and then didn't come back into the country. It was a very strange circumstance. She made amends. She came back the next year.
And we talked about this. We saw that also in the Gillies Shield this season as well. Unfortunately, it was South Australia on the wrong end. They played in the double chance game, and they ended up losing in the next one. It's not uncommon. And sometimes it's a matter of you have a team that wins the 3-4 game. They're feeling confident. They're feeling good about themselves. And then all of a sudden you go into immediate, you have to change your approach when you're playing in an elimination game. It just feels different. Off to the opposite field again. Abby Kennedy moves in and makes the play, and we're going to the 7th all squared up. But you can see that point. It's just, it's...
Great point. You think of Gillies Shield last year. Victoria beat Queensland in the 3-4 game and were in front against South Australia deep into the game before enter Belle White. She had a captain's inning, and then South Australia ran away with it in the end. But that 3-4 winner always comes in with...
hot.
Yeah, with some momentum and confidence.
And some intent, and they're already playing in survival softball mode. And sometimes it feels like other teams just take an inning or 2 to catch up to that sort of atmosphere. But here we are in the 7th inning. It's all tied at 2. It's been a good one from the start. West Torrens had a 1-0 lead early. It was Ulana Kaiser that drove in Jordan Harris, but an instant response from Sturt. It was 3 hits to start the second. Cameron, Straps, and Moore, and that made it all of a sudden a 2-1 lead for Sturt. Then in the 4th inning, with 2 outs, Kelsey Nucky sent a double to the left field wall. It's actually the only hit that this star fire-powered lineup of West Torrens have in this game, and it was a crucial one because it scored a run. 4 errors in the field today for Sturt. Both teams made a pitching change after the 4th inning. Neither team have been able to get much off of them, and we're now stuck in the 7th in a 2-2 game, and that is your game recap brought to you by CMAX.
That's a pretty good one. That just summed everything up.
CMAX Clinical Research. If you want to help advance tomorrow's healthcare and get paid for your time, log on to cmax.com.au.
Well, if 7, 8, 9 get it done, that's how games are won, and a game is able to be won right now for the Falcons. It's Collett at 7, Fidge at 8, and Tonkin at 9 due up.
And we've seen a hit from Collett and Tonkin already today, so and we also Ruby it was, got a walk up first, but
I would not have believed you if you told me that West Torrens would only have 1 hit through 6 innings in this game.
Yeah, that's how good these 2 pitchers have worked in unison this season. Ruby Fidge and Jazz Strandland. It was a little unknown, wasn't it, halfway through the season when, you know, Sturt we were questioning whether they'll make finals or not, but they'd brought over import pitcher. They had Millie Fidge make an appearance just before Christmas.
Call it along the dirt, picked up by Trzynski, and diving in there with some heart is Call It. One down. But there wasn't a lot of hits on Wednesday night either.
No, there wasn't. It was probably a few little hits early in the game, and that was it. Then it went right down to the pitcher's game for the back end. Yo Grau had a phenomenal pitching innings, and Michaela was not hopeless at all the other night. She was pretty good as well. So
6 hits to Port Adelaide, 1 hit to Walkerville. Gemma Letton had 2. Taylor Chillingworth had 2.
Meanwhile, it's 5 hits on the afternoon for Sturt, but 4 of them came in the second inning. In both of their runs. Just shows you how tight finals softball becomes. And take a look at some of those epic grand finals we've had over the last few years, broadcast on Spacequake. Not a lot of hitting those either.
And the obviously the pitchers we've got is phenomenal in this Premier League as well at the moment. We've got some great 1-2 pitchers that work really well in tandem, but I think also today you're seeing 2 pretty good catchers behind the plate who are calling. They've got to call everything. They know what these batters are doing, and they're doing a really, really good job, both Tonkin and Hood at the back end for West Torrens.
Well, this is Jazz Strandland, taking the at-bat, knowing that she came in for Ruby Fidge. Pitch up high. Strandland to Tonkin. Tonkin has a decisive RBI back in the second inning. Strandland thought she was heading to first.
Yeah, I probably would have done the same against Trzynski. Maybe see a 1-3 pitch, but we'll see if she takes the bat off the shoulder here on the payoff.
Strandland strikes out looking, 2 down.
Yeah, those last 2 pretty well look like they're a fairly similar spot, low and towards the inside, and I think she thought the first one was hers and then the second one the same spot. She
Tell you the difference, Pete. The first one was an outside drop. The second one was an outside low rise ball. And so it kicked into the strike zone, which froze Strandland for the strikeout. Like that.
Trzynski's been perfect through 8 batters so far.
With 2 strikeouts. And Sarah Tonkin, the only batter to break the infield, and she's on deck.
And she flew out to Alicia Marchink. Everything else, you've had a couple ground outs, a ground out to second, ground out to short, ground out to third, and a ground out to the pitcher. And a ground out to third, literally one down the line. She has grounded out to literally every infield position on the diamond.
That's pitching to your field.
And a couple Ks to her name, and she's got 2 strikes on Tonkin, who just stays alive with that cut.
Yeah, it's a gutsy at-bat here for Tonkin. She knows that there's 2 out. She knows she's got the top of the order to follow her, and, you know, it could be their last chance. So she's staying alive. She's killing off a couple. The outfield's right in.
Swing and a miss, a 3rd strikeout from Trzynski, and the Eagles will have a chance to walk it off in the 7th.
Yeah, 3 Ks for Trzynski. She seems to be getting into a bit of a groove. The pitches are hitting their spots, and she's really cranked the pace up a little bit as well. So if we go into a tiebreaker, if West Torrens cannot break this deadlock in this inning, we'll start with a runner on 2 in the extra inning.
Strandland obviously every batter that she faces at this point is just so pivotal, you getting out. But Jackie Beal leads things off here. How important is it for Strandland and Sturt to have one out on the board when they turn it over to face Harris and Trzynski for a second time through?
Yes, it is absolutely crucial that they can get this first out, put the pressure on and try and clean this innings up in the first 3 or 4 batters. The benefit that has is then Sturt's going to put Rachel Tonkin out on second, likely, if they don't put anyone else in her place. Out on second, she's a really good fast base runner herself, and they're stuck back at the top of their lineup. When West Torrens would come in for a hit, they're going to be down the middle of their lineup.
Yeah, and also, before you get too far ahead of yourself, if West Torrens can get a lead off on, they can play small ball, put the runner into scoring position for the likes of Trzynski, Hood, Kayser, or Harris. It would be that player that would advance the runner with a short ball game. And, you know, every single one of them have the ability to put the ball to the fence or over.
If Beal stands on first and they decide to play small ball with Harris in that situation, well, getting Harris out at first off a bunt is not a guarantee like it is maybe some other players in the competition. It would be immense pressure. This first out, so crucial. All of them are, but this one really, you feel like this batter right here sets up the entire inning either way, both for Sturt or West Torrens. Jackie Beal, massive moment.
The field is in real tight. The outfielders are in close. The left side of the diamond's in tight. Rachel Tonkin's probably the only player that's playing out of position here, fielding deeper a couple of extra steps. 3-1 count.
Wow. Big moment here, and Sarah Tonkin knows it too.
Bill can afford to take a pitch here.
She'll be hunting one. She's on first.
That's absolute worst case scenario for the Falcons. What they have to do now is they have to defend the short ball. Terry Lamory, I mean, no disrespect, is an old school coach and is likely to play small ball. Sturt have called timeout to have a chat and talk about it. That's what they'll be discussing. They'll be saying, right, bunt defense, we've practiced this all season, and you know, it should be a relatively routine short ball play right here, right now.
And if you're Harris, you just lay down the bunt. You, at best case scenario or worst case scenario, you advance the runner to 2 and you are out. Best case scenario, you use your legs and you beat it out. But even if Harris lays down the bunt and gets out, you have Trzynski and Hood with 2 cracks at it and a runner in scoring position.
And if Jordan Harris does get there and they end up with 2 on base, we've already seen Steph put the bunt down already today.
Well, this just opens up all kinds of possibilities. Eagles trying to get back to another grand final, a place where they have been agonizingly close, and I mean agonizingly close. Harris showing bunt, peels back for the ball.
Outfield not taking any chances. They've gone back to that setup play that they have for Harris, where the left fielder is more in center left. Maddie Cameron is playing the right side of second base.
Bunt showing again. It's laid down. Harris hustling down the line. It's scooped up. It's a close play. They get the runner at first, and now a runner in scoring position. 2 opportunities for the Eagles to walk it off, and Jordan Harris does her job.
Well, I think everyone in the ballpark knew what was happening there. It was just a matter of where Strandland was pitching the ball. Harris left the first one alone. Lee Hull will be happy with that. Bunts the second one, maybe a little high in the zone, but does her job, puts the go-ahead run in scoring position.
2-time Cath Coral medalist each of the last 2 seasons. She's gone a little cold with the bat as of late, but she can come through in a massive moment right now to send her club to a premiership chance.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago we saw a Grand Slam home run from Steph Trzynski. Should be happy with a single right now.
Jackie Beal standing on second. She represents the winning run. Along the ground, it gets through. The runner being waved around. Beal hustling for home. Play at the plate, and She slides in safe.
Walk-off hit for Steph Trzynski. She drills one up the middle. It goes to the forehand side of Maddie Cameron, so she has to get around the ball to make that play at the plate. It looked like a pretty good throw to me. Sarah Tonkin lays down a tag, but Jackie Bill did not break stride as she rounded third, and she scored, and the Eagles will go through to the 2023 CMAX Premier League Grand Final.
Well, you said there just a minute ago, Eric, about how Steph's not really been hitting fantastic. She did have that big home run, but she's been a little bit cold lately. What a time to pull out a hit like that.
Well, it took contributions throughout the lineup to make that happen, and I'm sure it's a feeling of relief for West Torrens, who are going to get an opportunity to play for that elusive championship that this core group has been chasing for what honestly feels like a lifetime right now.
We saw in the CMAX replay that Cameron's throw went over the head of the relay player. You had to, because that's the winning run at the plate. Jackie Bill gets up, all smiles, and puts her team through to the final. What a great turn at bat. She took it to a 3-1 count. She got herself on base, the 9-hitter.
Now there's just 2 games left in the season, and West Torrens will play in the final one. Sturt, meanwhile, who played a very good game today. There was not much between these teams. They have to go and face the defending premiers in Port Adelaide. They had this matchup, this exact matchup last year in the Premier League in the preliminary final. It'll be the same thing again, where those 2 teams will play on Wednesday to play it with a date with West Torrens later on.
Yeah, and we saw the other night Yo pitched phenomenally for Port Adelaide, so Sturt's going to have to be really on their A game there to come back. Look, they'll take nothing, although they didn't get through to the final. They can't take that. This is a bad thing. They played really, really well, and they did really, really well all up until that last play to hold them level. I think they're a very good chance of coming back against Port Adelaide and making their way to the final, but at the end of the day, the powerhouse hitting of West Torrens came in the end.
James Harris, were there a couple key moments for you in this game?
Well, early for both teams, they got off to a pretty good start. Lana Kaiser hit a rocket that deflected off the body of Neve Adams, scoring Harris for the first run of the game. But for mine, Kelsey Nucky's double in the 4th inning to tie the game scored. Benedictson, Carly Allen reaching off an error, but you can't go past, well, probably both of them, in Jackie Bill's lead-off walk and Steph Trzynski's RBI walk-off single to win it. Mentioned to, well, my wife, to Jordan for the sacrifice bunt. Ultimate team play to put your runner in scoring position. She executed it perfectly.
For me, I'm looking at Steph Trzynski as the key moment in the game. They made that swap to her in the 5th, and she goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 perfectly. It allowed them to not have to face Belle White, Maddie Cameron, Sarah Tonkin, the likes of those powerful bats more than once, whereas it was a valiant effort, but West Torrens were able to break through, see Strandland for a couple times, and the walk-off hit came from there. How about you, Pete?
Yeah, for me, it was the person you just mentioned there who got the winning run over the plate. Steph Trzynski started in centre field, did nothing wrong out there, took a couple of nice plays, walked into pitch, and she was phenomenal in the innings that she pitched. She really gave their Sturt no chances at all in there. And then she turns around. The first 2 at-bats, she advanced runners, so did her job there, and then gets the advancing runner and an RBI to bring home the game.
We're circling the scorecard, but if you look at it, it's 1-9 on both teams with key moments, had key contributions and moments throughout the game, and it really goes to show how important that team effort is within final softball itself, 1-9.
Yeah, well, you can't hide in finals, can you? And we saw both teams go to their dugout. They rang through the changes, and that is the belief that the coaching panel have in their players to come in and contribute as well. Yeah, you're right. The stars at the top of the order for the Falcons had 1 hit between the top 3 in the order, and for West Torrens, they had 1 hit as well for the top 3 batters in the order. The difference being the couple of walks and a couple of sacrifice bunts that also contributed from the top order for West Torrens. So contributions in this game are absolutely critical. You might not be the best player on the field, but one key moment in the game, you're going to be able to change it for your team.
Yeah, I agree. There's no hiding out there when you come to finals. You can make an error, and through the season you've got 3 or 4 more games or whatever it may be to come back at that. You make an error out there today and it all of a sudden can cost you quite quickly, and unfortunately, there were a couple of ones early from Sturt that just managed to get runners around bases where we're at critical times.
Oh, can I just quickly say the character of a person showing here? Belinda White just lost a major semi-final. She's walked out of the dugout straight up to a couple of Sturt juniors, giving high fives, having a chat to them with a smile on her face. Absolutely brilliant to see. You know, that just shows the character that I'm talking about, that is in with this softball community as a whole, led by the leader of the state.
Well, Belle will be busy on Wednesday night when she plays Port Adelaide in the preliminary final. We'll have all the coverage for you on Spacequake Sports starting at 8 p.m. and then the grand final with coverage starting shortly after 7 on Saturday night. On behalf of everybody, from James Harris to Pete Williams to our scorers, our umpires, our grounds crew, everybody, even Robert Laidlaw, and of course, producer Brandon, this is us saying thank you, good afternoon, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
You guys